Hey, 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 y'all. Come on in, come on in, come on in. This is a very much so unplanned live, but come on in. I wish I could show y'all my desk. Ever since I started back doing the books, my desk has gotten a little crowded, y'all. It got a little crowded. Hey, 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 hey. Let them go here, just like that. All right, now. Hello, hello, and thank you for joining. Thank you for joining. I am Mo, and I'm your host for the Let's Talk About That Fuck Nigga show, okay? Today, we will be talking about blind justice. Listen, as I have been, and first and foremost, let's do this little quick disclaimer, okay? Anything I say here is an opinion. It is my point of view. Let's keep that in mind. So, if you have your own point of view, talk about it. This is my point of view. Blind justice. I want to talk about this. It's been on my heart, especially as I continue to see daily men, black men, not saying that it only happened to black men, but that's where my focus lies right now. Hey, hey, hey. Being released from prison after serving some 18, 20, 25, 30, 35, 38 years. Those that actually get exonerated. You know, a lot of innocent people have died in prison. So I want to talk about blind justice. This is an initiative that I wanted to have put on the ballot some years ago. I was trying to put together a think tank so that we could work out the ins and outs of the initiative, so that when we take it to a senator or a congressperson to have them sign off on the bill, it's ready with little to no work needing to be done, with very small tweaks needing to be done. Hey, hey, Llama Production. Water, guys. I believe in hydrating. So, what blind justice looks like to me. It says blind justice. The expression means that justice is impartial and objective. The wearing of the blindfold so as to not treat friends differently from strangers, rich people better than poor people, or people of color harsher than white people. That is what blind justice represents to me. What I am proposing is pointed out. We're going to talk about it. And it's based on the notion that justice truly is blind. This is also on my TikTok page and this page. Number one, injustice. The quality or fact of being unjust, inequity, violation of the rights of others, unjust or unfair action or treatment, an unjust or unfair act. It's just wrong. That's what it means. The criminal justice system and the changes that need to happen to the criminal justice system. And we're going to talk about that. For that portion of it, for part two of it, it's an 8-point request of what we should do to make sure that justice is in fact blind. You can Google the color of justice, racial and ethnic disparity in state prisons. The color of justice, racial and ethnic disparities in state prison. Look that up, okay? And for three, police brutality. We need to abolish qualified immunity, longer, more in-depth police training, loss of pension if malfeasance is found. That these are the things that we propose under blind justice. National laws, enact federal laws that will protect people of color from receiving harsher sentence, harsher treatment, etc. Right? Number 5, protect the race of the victim and the accused from being released in court cases. This way, cases are based solely on the evidence and the law. This is what we need. That right there. I'm going to stop at 5. Y'all remind me we stopped at 5, 5. So I know to go back to 6. I want to pause on 5 because I believe it's extremely important. And don't worry about it. I will address the 6th Amendment, the right to face your accuser. Don't worry about that. I'll address that. We'll never have to violate the 6th Amendment in what I am proposing. So there wouldn't be a need to make any changes. We wouldn't have to violate that. And here's why this is so very important. And if you saw my video, you've seen that I did that little portion from A Time to Kill when he is doing his closing argument. Matthew McConaughey is doing his closing argument, and he lays out the crime, right? Which is why we're here, right? If as a jury, as a judge, we're here because a crime has been committed, right? And so he lays out the crime. And at the end of that, he says, now I want you to imagine that was a little white girl. That stabbed me in the heart for so many reasons. That stabbed me in the heart because, see, that really shouldn't matter. Cases should be built on merit. The merit should be the evidence and the law. That should be the merit of any criminal case. The evidence and the law. The race of the person, either side, the victim or the accused, should never play a part in a court case. And any time that has to be mentioned, there's something wrong. There is something wrong. So for justice to be blind, we need it to really be blind. It shouldn't matter who the parents are, who the grandparents are, what kind of money they have, what color of their skin. None of those things should matter. We have also watched the other side of this. Like we've watched innocent men and women convicted of crimes. We've watched guilty go free because of the color of their skin and because of the money. We watched an affluent teen go free. We watched a woman who participated in treason, January 6th, say, oh, well, I had a trip planned to go out of the country, be allowed to still take that trip out of the country. Why? Because of this, because of the color of her, or this, the color of her skin. Justice can never be blind. When justice allows for the tweaking, the changing, the bending, nearly breaking, if not altogether breaking of the law based on the color of a person's skin or the depth of a person's pockets. So in proposing for blind justice, one of the main things that I propose is the identity of the accused as well as the victim be kept. And so I know y'all saying, wait, Mo, how you gonna do that? Because most people, you can tell the color of their skin by their name. So how are you going to shield? How are you going to shield the color of the victim's skin, the color of the accused skin, if we know their names? Have you ever realized a person that died and they don't know their name becomes a John or a Jane Doe? So is there any particular reason why this can't be the case in the courtroom? Now, see, in the legal paperwork, yeah, the names will be there as to not mix cases up, because everybody can't be John and Jane Doe, right? Or even if you can be John and Jane Doe, there's numbers or something following that identifies this is not this John and Jane Doe. When there's multiples, all you do is multiple names like that, right? As to shield the identity. Why is it important to shield the identity? Because then that way justice really is blind. Justice is now only paying attention to merit. The merit that's set is evidence, law. That's it. That's all. Evidence law. That's blind justice. That's number 5, right? Protect the race of the victim and the accused from being released in court cases. Number 6, calling the police just because the person is Black should be classified as a hate crime. Yes, it should. It should definitely be a hate crime. Because you looked at the person, you made a decision because of the color of the person's skin that you're going to do this. So that should be considered a hate crime. No questions about it. A crime typically involving violence, especially, it was motivated by prejudice on the basis of race, religion, sexual orientation, or on other grounds. That is a protected situation. It's a hate crime. It's a hate crime. Because why else are you doing it? What are you looking for? What is your expectation of the end result? We all watch the news. We all listen to the news. We all watch social media. The police do not know how to respond to Black folks most of the time, the police do not know how to respond to Black folks without escalation. Right? When it comes to us, it's escalation. When it comes to everybody else, it's de-escalate. But for us, for some reason, it's escalation. So in knowing that, if you knowingly call the police under false pretense, now you should be held responsible for everything that happens once that call initiated. You should personally be held responsible. We've watched, especially white women, lie about what took place. And if there was no video evidence, we would have never known that they were lying. We've watched it happen. We've watched them initiate contact. We've watched them initiate violence and then lie to get their way. Now, we've watched many people do that, though. But this is what I'm talking about right now. So don't come for me. We've watched this happen time and time again. It's played out. It's now nicknamed Karen. Because why? It's happened so often. It has a whole name of its own. So that's number 6. Number 7, due process. Fair treatment through the normal judicial system, especially as a citizen. It's an entitlement as a citizen. In every case, in every case where someone receives a harsher sentence based solely on their race, they have been denied due process. In every case where someone's race got them convicted, they were denied due process. In every case where confessions were obtained forcibly from innocent people, they were denied due process. So we have to always nail due process home. Why? Because remember what I said, blind justice looks like what? Merit. Merit should be based on what? Evidence and the law. No in between. No gray areas. Evidence and the law. That's the merit. Due process is the law. If it's not based on that, if due process was violated, case is no good. And I know with that, we have to take some unintended circumstances, right? Because we're all human beings and some people forget due process, they forget. And so that costs a case, right? We've watched it happen. We've watched guilty people go free because of that, because of human error. We've watched that. But as a whole, we were okay with the law that allowed it for that to happen. If not, then that's when you fight that law. Because see, in all of this, it goes back to what I've been saying. When you are convicting people solely on the color of their skin, you're convicting the person, not the crime. You're not worried about the crime. You're worried about the person. And you have deemed them unworthy just because of the color of their skin. Blind justice within that. Blind justice looks like this. Case come in. male, female, Jane Doe, John Doe. That's all you know about the victim and the perpetrator, the accused. I'm sorry. That's all you know. Jane Doe, John Doe. That's it. That's what you know about them, right? Nothing else matters. Where's the evidence, and what does the law say? We're going to decide this case based solely on that and that alone. Okay, but Mo, wait a minute. If we do that, then you're violating the Sixth Amendment, right? I have a right to face my accuser, right? So you're violating the Sixth Amendment. No, we're not. Because in this case, the lawyers, the victim, and the accused will all know this. They'll know who's who. They'll know what's what. But there's no need for the jury nor the judge to know these things. Why? Because sometimes the jury will look at people and deem them guilty just because they looked at them. They will deem them guilty just based on looking at them. Having never heard anything about the case. This is why that is so dangerous. It is dangerous in a world where we have been taught big black scary man. We all know it's true. You can't argue that point. It's kind of dangerous to see a big black scary man. Can you imagine what they deem scary? Let me air quote that. 6'7", 300-pound man sitting on this side, 5'2", 140 pounds soaking wet, if that woman sitting on this side, right? Can you imagine how that looks? Just the optics of it alone, the optics of that alone is dangerous. And you have attorneys that will count on that. Either side, that will count on that will use that to determine guilt and innocence when it has nothing to do with the evidence or the law. The only time it becomes a part of the evidence when you want to show the force of it, right? Somebody weak can't break a neck with their bare hands, something like that. Otherwise, why is that important? Why do we need to see that? Why does that need to be pointed out? Because you're utilizing something outside of the evidence and the law to prove your case. Your case, more than likely when that happens, your case is flimsy. You know it's flimsy, and you need something to help you along. Because see, when it comes to prosecuting cases, what I learned a long time ago, if you guys pay attention, look at the district attorney's office and look at the public defender's office. There is no political gain in the public defender's office. However, there is political gain in the DA's office. There are political offices connected to the DA's office. You are considered successful based on your conviction rate, not on keeping the law. No, your conviction rate. So what are people looking to do? Oh, they're looking to get convictions, even if they have to get people to sign confessions. They're looking to get convictions. Convictions are more important. And that is not okay. And there is no way that justice can be blind that way. So that is a way that's something that we have to address, and it's something that has to change, right? So the sixth right to face your accuser. The Sixth Amendment provides that a person accused of a crime has the right to confront a witness against him or her in a criminal action. This includes the right to be present at the trial, which is guaranteed by the Federal Rules of Criminal Procedure, Rule 43. To protect the Sixth Amendment right of the accused, the only people that would be shielded from knowing the race of the victim and the accused are the judge and jury. Everybody else can know this. The judge and jury, however, cannot know this. In this way, we keep it We keep the integrity of merit. What's the merit? The evidence and the law. What is wrong with that? What is wrong with us presenting this and saying, hey, we're tired of people like Lamar Johnson, who was just released this year from serving 28 years for a crime that he did not commit. We're tired of people like Sheldon Thomas, who spent 18 years and he was released this year for a crime that he did not commit. We're tired of these things. There's a whole study that was done, and there's an article. It's called Race and Wrongful Convictions in the U.S. from 2022. Race and Wrongful Convictions in the U.S. 2022. It's a part of the, listen to this. Did you guys even know that this existed? The National Registry of Exonerations. Did y'all know that even existed? How many people knew that there was a National Registry of Exonerations? The study was done by the University of Michigan. It can be found at law.umich.edu. That's law.umich.edu. That's where that study can be found. It is Race and Wrongful Convictions in the U.S. 2022. There's a full-on national registry of exonerations. Are you kidding me? For that to happen, you know, the numbers has to be unbelievable. They have to be unbelievable for them to do something like that. For there to be a study done by a university, not by a person. This is not someone's oh my goodness, dissertation or thesis. This is not that. This is an entire study by an entire college that did this. There has to be a serious problem. Normally a dissertation is written by one person. They go and they look up, they do scholarly research, they find opposition as well as support, and they base their dissertation on that, right? That's normally how that happens. This is an entire college. We have a problem. Because see, no matter what, you can't give back 18 years. Remember, if you've ever heard me speak before, you heard me say, time is more valuable than money. Why is time more valuable than money? Because you always have a chance to make the money back, right? Or even more money. You never get time back. You can never get that time back, no matter what. The time is gone and you can't get it back. So it's very much so more valuable than money. I will not be as angry with you if you waste my money as I will be if you waste my time. And that's solely the reason why, because I cannot get my time back. I can't get my money back. And so this is where blind justice was born out of. This is why I think it's important. This is why I want to revisit it and get a measure somewhere on a ballot somewhere, because that's how it starts. We may not, be able to do this on a national level at the very beginning. But if we can get the attention and the ear of some politician out there somewhere, or is that the young man in New York, Yelly, who sit there because he couldn't make bail? Is that story? And he was innocent and he ended up committing suicide. Is that story? Or am I off? I think that's. I kind of do the names pretty well, and I could just look at it, but I'd like to know if I'm off. Yep, from New York. Yeah, I remember that story. Absolutely. And it was a backpack. Wow. Yeah, I remember that story. Absolutely. Things like that. That's a problem. And then you have a lot of people who take deals. Why? Because they don't have the money to get an attorney, and they just don't want to do it because they don't want to get more time. They scare them with these astronomical sentences. 16, yes. They scare them with these astronomical sentences. People don't want to be in jail at all. So a lot of times they tell you, if you just do this, we'll let you go home. Please, let's never forget the Central Park 5. Let's never forget that. Remember, that young man he wasn't even there. He came to assist his friends at the police station. He had no idea. And he went to the penitentiary for a crime we know he definitely didn't commit, because he definitely wasn't there. He was not there. And this is what happens. And it's never okay. And you'll have some people that say, oh, there is such a small percentage of people that this happened to. Are you kidding me? That should never be an argument. It should never be okay to put an innocent person in prison. That should never be okay. And your argument should never be that it's such a small percentage of people that it happens to. Are you serious? That's your argument? That is a sad argument, and it is inhumane to think that it is okay for a person to go to jail for a crime that they did not commit on any level. That is not okay. That could never be okay. And if that is your standpoint on it, then I need you to check your humanity, because it's off. It's off. Be it a little bit, be it a bit. It's off. One is too many. Absolutely. Any percentage is horrible. Yeah, 700 days. I see it. I looked at the story. It's wrong. And then what about the mental damage, right? You have the loss of time. You have the loss of what is for many their golden years, their best years, right? Their prime. That's for many, that's what it is. They lose their prime, right? Then you have whole bloodlines that stop before that. Legacies end because of that, right? Can you imagine a man going to jail at 18 and getting out at 60 something? Can you imagine that? One of two things. If he didn't have any kids, his legacy died right there. If he had children or decide to have children, what is that going to be like? That's a forced single parent home, which we all know. I don't know a Black person. I said I don't know. I didn't say it doesn't exist. That doesn't know at least one person that came from a single parent home. Right? Now, not saying that single parent homes, not saying that children from single parent homes don't make it. That's not what I'm saying. Right? I personally have witnessed some kids from single parents homes do better than children from homes with both parents. I watched it. So I know it can happen, but it shouldn't have to. That should be a total choice. The crazy thing about me. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. They have to fight tooth and nail. And then, some places, I don't know if there's a federal cap, but some places caps how much you can be paid per year after being wrongly convicted. So they put a cap on what your life was worth. The government decided to say, you can't have more than $25,000 a year. And I'm just throwing numbers out there. These aren't the numbers, but you can look it up. There are caps. So they decided to tell you that was your income cap, basically. In your life, this is all you would have made that year. Oh, yeah. See how that is? Yeah, because what happened, a lot of people started getting exonerated, especially with the Innocence Project, right? The Innocence Project came along and DNA was the name of the game. And since DNA became the name of the game, and all of these Black men began to get exonerated, it became very costly. And here's the funny thing. It's not even funny, it's a damn shame. You get wrongfully convicted, you get exonerated, you sue. Though the private prison may have made money from you being there, the state gets sued. Did you hear what I just said? So if the state gets sued and have to pay, the taxpayer in turn ends up paying. Not the private prison that made money off the prisoner. The taxpayer who's probably fighting to get the prisoner free. Won't see problems with any of this. I mean, it's just a lose, lose, and lose again situation. Yeah, that's how it happens. That becomes a debt that the taxpayers pay. That is how it happens. Another reason why it should not be, you shouldn't be a superstar for your conviction rate. You should be a superstar for getting it right. Whichever way. You should be a superstar for getting it right. It should not have to, conviction should not equate to you did the right thing. It just shouldn't. And some of these folks should be liable for suit when it comes out how that case was decided, because you have some people that will do anything for that conviction rate. And we watched it. This is not a conspiracy theory. Okay. Absolutely. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's out there. The evidence is out there. The statistics are out there. It's all out there, right? You can look it up yourself. You have to look it up. You have to follow how this happens, why this happens. How is it that suddenly crime goes up when new prisons are built? Anybody thought about that? How is it that they report the crime rates, right? But they don't have to report police shootings. They don't have to report that, but they have to report the crime rate. I wonder why. I wonder why that is. Things that make you say, So, again, I proposed a couple of things. See, just sitting here talking to you guys, I thought of something else to add to blind justice. I thought about adding, prisons should never be privatized. Let's deprivatize prisons immediately. That has proven to be a problem everywhere. That has proven to be a problem even with the juveniles. I know you guys remember the case in New York where the judges were charged because they made backroom deals with the owners of private prisons to fill those prisons. I know you guys remember this. If you don't look it up, it happened in New York. Look it up. Prisons cannot be built if bodies will not fill those prisons. If there's a prison being built and they don't have the plan to already make the prisons that's built less crowded, you better know they have a plan to fill that prison one way or another. Because they're not going to look and see an empty building that they've put millions into. Because a prison can't open its doors until it's fully staffed. So there's that. We have to we have to watch these things. So I think that should be added to blind justice as a part of blind justice. Prison should be deprivatized. And then we can get into later, if they decide to not deprivatize prisons, then when it has been found that you have housed a prisoner for some 20 years, 30 years, 25 years, I don't even care, 5 years, because a day is too much. But in any event, that if you decide to keep prisons privatized, then it should be the prisons that have to pay the prisoner when they're exonerated. You know, one or two things will happen then, right? They'll stop building all these prisons like that, or they'll stop falsely imprisoning people. But as long as they can do it, and they don't have to pay a cost for doing it, they'll keep doing it. Yes, absolutely. They don't just get money to house the prisoner. Make no mistake, those prisoners get in there and work jobs. Sometimes some of the phone calls you make to some of these companies, you're talking to a prisoner. Sometimes some of the clothes that you wear were made by prisoners. I remember Mecca was made in Cochran State Prison in California. It's big business, as it always have been. Because if you remember that the prison industry is the new slave industry, right? That it's the new slave industry. So it's big business. If you remember, the prison system started up when what? They abolished slavery. Abolished. Because we know how that went. Because of that exception to that rule, that's where prison came from. Remember, in those days, sometimes just walking down the street could get you arrested. Wrong place, wrong time. And you would get arrested. And they haul your ass to jail so they can get free labor out of you. Simple as that. It's what's been done.
Thanks a lot.
It's what's been done over time. Listen, you guys know I write poetry. I recite my own poetry. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, we've been promised so many things as a people, time and time again, over and over again. All these politicians, they come to us, they swear they have our agenda, they swear they have our best interests at heart, and then every time they get in office, it's just, I need a little more time, give me this, give me that, because they're always what? Always running for office. So they're always going to want to tell you what you want to hear, because they're always running for office. They're not going to tell you no, especially if they know that you have any kind of pull anywhere with any voters, right? Any block of voters. They will be afraid to lose that block of voters. So they're going to tell you what you want to hear, but then you'll never, ever receive it. So upon Joe Biden winning the presidency, I did a poem. I want you guys to tell me if you can hear this.
From the shores of Jamestown, Virginia, 1619, the Civil Rights Movement, 1863 and 1964, so much blood on the floor. Watts riot, 1965, just fight to stay alive. 1992, Rodney King, boy, did we make a scene trying to be seen. 2020 vision, justice and equality, a life lost under the knee of the MPD. Biden Harris is the ticket. Yeah, y'all beg to kick it. Screaming, vote for me, I'll set you free. Yet blacks again are still waiting to see. With the stroke of a pen, most injustice and inequality can become nearly obsolete. Joe and Kamala proved to me the vote count. Right the wrongs of the prison industry, formerly known as slavery.
It's that simple. It's that simple. We've watched time and time again that little pen utilized for executive orders over and over and over. It always get pushed to the side over and over and over and over and over again. We get promised, and they half-ass fulfill promises, or they fulfill promises that will definitely benefit someone other than us, or us and someone else, right? Not a problem, but when have we ever been given the full agenda that we were promised, or even a half of what we were promised as a people? Oh no, no, honey, they would assassinate me immediately. Immediately. I don't know how to play nice. I really don't. I don't. Now, I know how to be politically correct in certain situations, but when it comes to the Black agenda, I won't bend. I won't be moved, because I've watched it bend, broken so many times that I would never do that. They don't, but we keep allowing it to happen. It is us that keep giving away our power. It is us. We give away our power. Why? Because we let them treat us like we work for them, when they in turn work for us. Politicians work for us. They are the representation we send to take our agenda to the table. And once they show us that they don't have our agenda, we have the power. Now, some places you have the power to recall them. Other places, just vote them out. Period. Vote them out. It's that simple. You want me to help you with the things when it comes to why Mitch McConnell will never lose office? He will die in office. You want me to help you with that situation? It gets uncomfortable. But if we really want to see change, it's what we have to do. We have to change the makeup of the block of voters that keep voting him in. Not by gerrymandering, but by moving our asses there and counting. Those are the places where we are outnumbered. The places where we outnumber, get up and vote. Send true representation to Washington. Stop allowing 10% of the voting population to make a decision for 90% of the people. Every time you don't participate in your local races, you allow the 10%, maybe 20 sometimes percent that do, to pick and speak for you, because the person that they put in office is your representation. The person that they put in office is going to be the person that go to Washington and say, check this out, this is what my people are saying. The person that thinks about your street lights, your potholes, your utilities, your food deserts, your schools, your parks and recreation, all those things are the people you vote for on a local level. Those are the people that you vote for on a local level. If you don't know how many electoral college votes your state has, find out. Now, I personally want to abolish the electoral college, but until then, you need to know that. You need to know that. That is important, because when it comes to the president, your electoral college is who's going to make that vote for you. And some states, like California, are winners take all. California has 55. Nobody has more votes than California in the electoral college, and they have historically voted blue. 55 electoral college votes. 55 of them. Right? 55. Don't worry about it. I believe next, I think it's either Florida or New York. You can look it up. I think the next is 39 after the 55. Then it's like 33, 29. stuff like that. You have people who have 2, and then Washington, D.C. gets 3. They get 3. That's how you make up your electoral college. This is the representation that you send for your presidential vote. That is who make that vote for you. And until we can abolish the electoral college, we have to be very careful with who we send to represent us. We need them to truly have our agenda, not just listening to us and saying, I hear you. No, saying, I'm with you and I'm going to take this to Washington with me. Because, hey, it's 2022. We should be 2023. Oops. We should be far, way further along than what we are when it comes to race relations, when it comes to income equalities, when it comes to America accepting, taking responsibility for the wrongs that they have done to the African American people, to the Black people, to whatever you call yourself, under the banner of Africa. If we could get something like this together, and if we could have Africa really represent us to the point of willing to go to war when America treats us poorly, they would stop doing to us what they do to us. America, we have no one to call when America does wrong to us. That's why they're not afraid. That is why they're not afraid. And as many of us identify as Americans or as African Americans, we are truly without a country because we don't really have the backing of a country. America backs us against other countries. America does not back us against the wrongdoings that America do. And so we're lost, we're left. And that is why we are treated so poorly here. And it will continue to happen until we do something about it. Until we do, I would love, and I've heard all the swelling, wonderful words of, we're just one race, the human race. I wish that was true. I would love to live to see that. But until then, what are we going to do to survive what's happening to us? What are we going to do to outlive what's happening to us? What are we going to do? When are we going to draw the line in the sand and say enough is enough? We say no justice, no peace until we get tired. Not until we see change, until we get tired. And then here we go again. Another Black person assassinated by the police. No justice, no peace. Every, I think it's 28 to 30 years, full on uprising. Count them up, 28 to 30 years. 2020, I believe 2020 and what was Mike Brown? Kappa, you here, was it 14, 15? I think those were the closest ones. Other than that, it's really 25 to 30 years. Full on uprising. Across the country. Full on uprisings. Or uprisings so bad that it makes the national news. When are we going to stop doing that? When are we going to get off the hamster wheel? So with blind justice, I believe we can do that. I would like to start up a think tank again. Back then when I was starting up this think tank, I had a couple of friends who worked in law enforcement, who were also attorneys. Thank you. Who are also attorneys, who are all either deceased or retired at this point. I know a federal prosecutor. He is now teaching at Loyola in California. I reached out to him. I'm waiting on him to reach back out to respond. Trying to put together a think tank on all sides, not, because you can't, everyone needs to be represented, right? This is one of the things that I said with the Stop the Clock protest. I said I wanted everyone who was a part of a minority community, right, to be represented, right? And when I came to the LGBTQIA plus community, I said, I don't want one representative for that community. Yes, let's change it all. I want someone from the L. I want someone from the G, from the B, from the T, from the Q, from the G, from the I, from the A, from the plus. I want someone from each community to come with the agenda of that community. This is the only way this is going to work, because we all don't have the same issues. We all don't have the same problems. And if we want them to be blind to those differences that we share, then I need you who could better explain the difference. Because why? You are that difference, right? To represent. And it doesn't have, at least one person, I would like more, need to represent, right? And I think that's only fair. When you're going to ask for change, and you want this change, you say this change is for everyone that has ever suffered injustice. You say this change is for, and so that's what I did when it came to Stop the Clock. I asked for a representative from each community to be at that protest. With this community, with this right here, I asked, that is my son. Ooh, y'all, hold on a second. Yes. I'm actually online. Why? What? From where? How am I get it? How I know? You didn't go to work? Oh, you're not going back to work? All right, bye. Woo, child kids. They don't have no respect of time. None whatsoever. See, that's the part of being a parent. So I was really winding down anyway. Yes, I know. That was super ghetto. Somebody gonna see this show and be like, no, she did not take a phone call. Baby, when it comes to my children, child, I told you I'm online. Now he gonna wait because I know what he wants. When it comes to my children, everything stopped. I don't care if I was sitting here talking to Obama, Bush, Biden, Harris. I don't care. I would stop that conversation for my babies. Absolutely. Absolutely, Yelly. So that's me. That's how I am. We're about to end this here broadcast, you guys. That's what I want. So if you guys could boost the post wherever you see it, be it on IG, be it on YouTube, be it on TikTok. Y'all won't see it on Facebook because I don't mess around over there. My family is over there. So yeah, let's do it. Let's get it. Let's get it together. Let's do it. Because there's a chance that we're going to have a change of the guard. In what, 1 year? In 1 year's time, there's a chance that we're going to have a change of the guard, a changing of the guard. And so, let's do this. I don't want to see any more men being arrested, women being arrested for crimes that they did not commit and given these harsh sentences. Not only are they being arrested, but they're actually being convicted, and not only being convicted, given harsh sentences. So there is that. So it's a trifecta that's happening, a whole trifecta. All right, you guys. So that is my show. It is my wish to, if nothing else, provoke thought in you. Until next time, you guys. Take care.